Hello and welcome, as it is the end of the 23rd day of July 2018. My name is Derek and this is the Money Charts channel. Like always, all trades, all bets, or anything of the like, that's within your own risk, own reward. For myself, risk reward portfolio management is always job number one. Okay, Bitcoin, which is looking, okay, June 29th at bottoms. Are we having a July rally within the market? And I'm going to talk about some altcoins after this. Some interesting situations we're looking at. But first, amongst Bitcoin on the single hour time frame, continuing to see strength amongst the 18, albeit the 18 average of highs and lows is increasing at a lower rate of ascent because, well, the market's really going more of a sideways manner, which is what it's been doing, having legs higher and then successfully going sideways. Its range, at least the ultimate one, is from about 76.40 up to about 78 almost, which is a differential of about 160 points. That's about 2%. And even through a lot of its trading range, we look at this on the 15-minute time frame, it's 76.68 to about 77.66, so 1.5%. Really not much going down within such. And when it comes down to it, after two green candles up that looked nice, there was about 5 sideways days. And well, overall the situation was an up day amongst here. When did the rally begin for such? It started roughly at the end of the day. So if I just try a interesting time frame, because it's almost like today's a pause day, so I want to get a chart that reflects such. So as far as a time frame is concerned, let's try 22 hours, see what comes up. And that's exactly what I was looking for. So amongst the 22-hour chart, which is well over 90% of a day, but it shows that after this little sideways move, after a good green candle up, and in this case we're seeing a little bit of breathing during the 2 days up. So it went up big, breathed for a while, just stopped its sprint and just started walking, if you will, because it kept going higher. So it kept moving, it just didn't go up and go anywhere fast, and then it just went up higher again. Basically what happened is you go up the elevator and then the elevator stops for a while, people come in and out, and then you just take the elevator up again. And that's I use that example because the markets have been basically going straight up when they make these moves. And even we can see here this big candle here straight down. It doesn't take the stairs, it doesn't even want to take the escalator, it takes the elevator. Just let it do such. Okay, so after the elevator move one floor, this is almost like 2 or 3 floors up. But after the one floor move up on this situation, you can see this barely movement here. We look at the numbers up top. This is a high of 78 and a low of 73 and change. So that's a differential of 430 points. And that works out to like 6-ish%, maybe 6 to 7. And then this period here that just preceded, a full 22-hour period, very close to a full day. A low of 76.90 and a high of 77.77. A differential of about 87 basis points, or that of about 1.2%. Okay. So therefore, it's a pause situation as far as I look at it. Overall, we can see it's been very productive since the inverted head and shoulders pattern has manifested. If this thing fails on any major rally, a definition of failure is holding and staying below whatever 61.8% correction happens to be, thus not basically around this area here that I'm or below, a little bit below the neckline. If it doesn't hold that area, then that 6,000 I've talked at nausea about is still in play, because when I look at this on the overall perspective within the 3-day time frame, ever since we see the market flattening out after an amazing uptrend in the start of January, it had a very nice multiple period leg lower, about 7-8 periods going below the 18 average of lows, resisting it, making it back to where it came from. This time with the 18 lows lower, it got above such, spending about 5 or 6 periods above it, but it also spent time below where the previous high was, and then grinding its way for several periods below the 18 on the next leg lower. As I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, like 13 periods, or the relevance of well into over a month. And now the 18 average has declined and it's barely starting to get above it. So it's telling me, oh, you're making an attempt. So someone has told me, hey, I'm going to do this. Okay, go do it now, the person who told me. And then this, of course, is reverting the trend. So now that they're doing it, they're getting their paintbrushes together. Of course, that's what a painter would be doing, but they're getting the work done. If the painter were to make a good painting or paint the house well, then it would do its job. But if they were lying, maybe they were too intoxicated or they underestimated their skill set and they fail, well, then you would notice it. And that's, of course, the same situation after making a statement. If you fail to do what you said you do, then it's going to be trouble kind of deal. Okay, so that's a look at Bitcoin. Again, I'm liking its strength overall. When these moves happen, they're probably going to have decent-sized moves up and down for when they're decent. It's not going to be the case where it's just going to grind up 5%. It's going to do it all at once and then do a lot of sideways movements. That's basically been the story for multiple weeks now. And of course, in any down move, always look out for the fact of a level of resistance being broken, and then it goes in the opposite direction. So assuming it were to happen now, the market would look something like this. And actually, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this on the shorter term time frame. Let's do this on like even the 5 minute. Okay, so within such, let's okay, and let's do this as well. So generally what would happen, this would be the 5 minute time frame. You would notice that you'd see something like this, and then it's something like that. This has been very, very common within the market when this happens. So something to look out for on that, but that's not going to be all of them, as there have been situations where the breakouts have been for real. Of course, I'm just quickly trying to look at an example as such. And well, around here, was there any type of selling around July 15th like such? Oh no, basically a situation, I'm looking at the wrong thing. So for example, in the early stages of seeing something like this happen, where you're breaking out of a key point, you know it's either going to be something like we see here, and this was an amazing result, where it's going to be a successful breakout, or it would be what I basically pointed out, where it would be something like that. Because all the declines, like you have this breakout and then a fall below. And here, there was a breakout here on the short term that did the same sort of deal, where in the 1 minute time frame, it did just that again. So it's done it quite frequently. Now let's move on to some altcoins. I'm going to go over them relatively quickly. Gigabyte, it's hanging in there pretty good. As generally speaking, for the entire crypto space, everything got going around the start of March. And at the start of March or end of February, everything was in a long-standing bear market. As we can see in here, this has been going on for about that of a year. I started trading on February 22nd, 23rd. I was looking at the altcoin charts. Poloniex had 115 of them. Why I remember that number, I don't know. And I only liked really a couple. It was Bella and Dash. And I'll get to Dash because I think that's a very important one in a little bit. But as we can see, the markets, and this was just incredible, the move it had, but the market had moves that really went into June. We can see this was June 3rd. Some topped in May, some would top late June or early July, but for the most part, well, late July, because July 1st was Bitcoin Cash, everything went down in the end of June. But the Bitcoin Cash debuted July 1st on a fork is what I'm referencing, and the prices were going lower if you're not sure what I meant by that. But yeah, all the altcoins up until the end of May into June all went up. And then they went down for the most part, all the way till the start of December with a failed rally attempt along the way in the middle. As we can see in this case here, there was the July-August failed rally attempt. Even in September, there was a failed rally attempt as well here. And then everything picks up in the start of December. And there's where we go. December 11th, it just screams to the upside, and everything goes up to like the middle of January or start of January. In this case, it was January 9th. That's what the entire crypto space did, going down all the way to April 1st. April Fool's rally, April Fool's month. Oh, that was the case, because all rallies end up failing. But in this case, as it topped at the start of May, everything topped pretty much end of April, start of May, had its decline, and then June 24th is when it bottomed, started going higher. And it wasn't until July the 1st when it broke out past the newly rising and flat, or newly above, rather, the 18 average. Because around July 1st, it was starting to look like, hey, maybe there's a chance that this thing might be reversing amongst the crypto sphere side. Of course, Bitcoin has been doing relatively well since then as well. When we look at some of the coins that, well, ADT, it has been on fire recently. And the general note here, especially with the not so much love, the less volume, coins, that you can have these killer gains happen at any time. What here do you see bullish about the market before the fact? Okay. Well, when they're ready to go, they go. This is just an example of such. That's the way the crypto sphere game works. Like we've been pointing out from the start of December, the rallies it had were immaculate. Okay, 200 up to 2400. Okay, nice 12x gain. You did better than some, and some others did better than that, because there was a lot more that did better than 12x. Here we have Stellar Lumen, and it's looking like it might want to correct. We have this original move coming on high volume, and is this going to be the start of a reversal failed move, question mark? Well, it's going to be one or the other. And like all the other ones, doing its thing, but there isn't too many markets sharing this type of look. In fact, most coins are in brutal downtrends or breaking even. As I mentioned Dash before, back at the end of February, Dash was looking really good. And let's take a look at it. And we'll start by showing the Poloniex chart on the daily time frame, but only showing a few periods. June the 9th. And I'm trading Dash on the wrong exchange. I got Dash on Poloniex, but I'm unfortunately trading it against the dollar. All these great buying opportunities I have not got. This thing goes down to the 22 number. All buy orders success. June the 12th. It happens again. Not as nice. Definitely nowhere near as deep. How much of July 4th was real? I don't think as much of it. But again, on July the 11th. And again, last on July 20th. The market setup as it's going is not too good. But if we take a look at this now against Bittrex, we don't see those same type of moves. But what happens when we take a look at this on a more longer term point of view? And we just remove my old drawings on here. This was a situation again on 2017, late February. This is pretty much what I was looking at right in here. This thing was going up like that. And I was part of this breakout rally, I think. Maybe not, no. But either way, it was in the uptrend. And again, only this and a code Bella, which has basically moved to like an ERC type of token. And it had an amazing run too, but it finished. For Bella, it was one that topped, and it was in a majorly longer term good bull market too. It topped in the month of March, never to see those highs again. This one, it got up to, on March the 17th, got up to the 125 handle. And well, that's its high. So it actually topped just days into the great bull market run. So something to keep in mind with some of the altcoins that go haywire as the early movers, that it's probably going to be an early topper as well. At least so was the case on the Dash. And let's move on to just a few other coins as well. Here we have Cloak. It's in an obvious downtrend. A lot of these coins still are. Civic, it's in an obvious downtrend. It's broken down below its 23.6% Fibonacci from its highs in here. Is it going back down to its previous December lows? Maybe, question mark. But the whole point is that it's in a downtrend, and it's obviously broken through this 26.25 layer of support. Einsteinium, yeah, it's broke down below a key level of support as well. I'm roughly at around the 1814 down to 1765 mark, now below 16. And when you get these moves in here, these are the wild crypto moves. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But overall, as far as trading is concerned, you got a market that goes from 2100 to like 47, back down to where it came from in the 2100s. Not quite up to 47, but still 44. And it's been nothing in a free fall run since, with a couple good sell opportunities. One, in May, which was the April Fool's rally here, but May there was a small one up to here, and then I mean just a barely one on this pierce above. But a lot of these coins in bear markets. Neo against Bitcoin, well, it's at lows not seen since around Christmas time of last year, as you have a big support level roughly here at about the 67 handle, and then it makes a support for a decent rally at the 47 handle. Now it's at 41, not that much of a leg lower, so I'd be thinking that this thing could at least go down to roughly the area here at about well, a little over 36, but into the 30s anyway. And then we got coins like Pay, which has always been known for having, well, a lot of these coins are known for having these wild moves. Is this another failed breakout? Question mark. We'll find out. What we see is that you have a big rally going from the level of about, and we'll call this 9,000-ish, up to 22. So you do much better than double. You come back down to this 18. Now in here, it's been a few days below the 18, and we can say the same thing again, and it's going to be fine. But if you end up failing it, the likely result is a decline that's probably going to at least take you to the previous low of the 7,000 and change handle. Here we can see an example of Power Ledger significantly below the 18, pretty much at its previous level in here. Definitely showing a lot of possible weakness. But when you look at these moves that it has, all these little possibilities of the pierces that these markets have, a sell opportunity May 15th, a great sell opportunity on June the 30th. You know that if you sold on the way up, well, now you're buying on the way down, and then you'll just be looking to sell again when it's ready to go on the way up. Because when you have these gigantic moves, when you have the right time, it's going to be the right time. When it's ready to go, it's going to go. It really wasn't ready to go for a monstrous move when the start of July came into place. But it could do better, but it was ready to go for the short term, not for the long term. And let's move on. And we'll finish this off with an ARC, which has obviously had a break below the support at 19. Now it's in at 15. And it's a decent sized leg lower. Would I be a buyer now? The answer would be no. And that's because I've already calculated the Fibonacci on this. So this is what we got. The market had its huge move. I mean, they all did it. last year. Now this one was doing so in July, so this was a rare situation where a coin was going up while everything was going down, but its move was from this 15,000 handle up to about 120, so about an 8 or 9x move. But if we take the Fibonacci from the first day's lows and this high, what I've come up with is the first key number to come in at 47,610. Can I put a... Let's figure out how to... Don't know why it's not coming up. I'm on a different browser. That might be why. Don't horizontal array. I'm just going to, yeah, I'm going to put the price or the 47,000 number in now. And what we've seen with it is, did it do what Fibonacci normally does? Well, yeah, I mean, it stopped going down near that level with the Pierce Extra. It had an okay rally, then it supported for quite some time, fell below it not far, then it resisted it, big move lower. It wasn't a great buying opportunity. The next level, which would be the 61.8, is in at 26,479. And when we display that number, we'll put a line for that handle. And it pretty much was perfect support, piercing below, resisting the next line. Interesting. And then comes back lower, and then does what I would call a failed move, failed setup. Now it stayed a decent amount of time below it, but what it did was it broke below the key level of support on test number 2. It then resisted the level that was support, but then it got above it, and failed setup has a fast move to the upside. Trying to break above this, supporting it for a while, but then ultimately falling. And as we can see within this level, it pierces above it on this occasion. So usually it pierces extra. This was a case where it pierced less. And is now started, here we can see it breaks down below that level. It resists it, but it pierces less again. And it's been moving lower. And it's still well above 10,000. Which happens to be where the next Fibonacci number comes in at 10,258, and it usually pierces extra, so lower. So I'll be interested because the market has pretty much told me within what has been going on here if it's going to do such. June, early parts of June was the statement that that was the case, and obviously since it's been doing it, it's been in place for such. Supposedly, if the day were to come soon, like tomorrow, next day, next week or whatnot, where all the cryptos start going up, this would probably follow suit. Now, a lot will still happen to do within fundamentals because there's going to come a time, and it might be soon, it might not be, but a time where a lot of these coins are going to go by, down by the way of, they'll just fade in the sunset, they're going to go. As quite frankly, there are so many of them, like, why do we want to have these altcoins? I can understand why I want to have Bitcoin and Litecoin and such as a form of money and a form of trade. Then you got case uses like Steam. I can understand why that one is going to do well. But when there are hundreds have been around for a while, now like over 1,600 of these coins, and many a dozen that are traded for decent enough volume, at least a Bitcoin or 2 per day on average, then how can they all survive? And I wouldn't be surprised if there comes a time where they maybe could have some problems within it. Of course, a lot of these coins are going to have big moves up, big moves down, and as I mentioned when I started into trading, roughly around February 24th-ish of last year in 2017, almost everything were in dire bear markets for months and in some cases over a year. And then they all started going back up. So you have situations where, like market in here, oh look how bearish this looks, and it was ready to go. Of course, when markets are ready to go, they're going to do it, and I'm going to end the video at. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.